It's a good win. There's a lot of people. It's like Woodstock, except everybody's got their clothes on.
Don't eat a damn snack.
You're like my wife when you get in space. You just get lost.
It's ahead! Short steps are better than long steps. That's the only time in your life you're going to hear short is better than long. It's ahead!
Welcome, everyone, to 614 Headsets, the weekly podcast where we say football is unconditional love. We couldn't agree more with the GOAT, Tom Brady himself, right? This game is a lifestyle. We're three high school football coaches from Columbus, Ohio, who live and love this game. Boys, how we doing? We took a week off. Donovan, how are you, sir?
We're doing good. We're just getting close to summer. I'm itching to get back into some real stuff, and as we get into great conversations, it's going to be a good time getting close to our 1-year anniversary of this show.
It's coming up. Coach Sayers, how we doing?
That's it, right? Just getting back into it this week. It's nice to have a week off, but then also when you're sitting there on a Wednesday night and you're just like, usually on the podcast talking ball, and that's one of my favorite nights of the week by far, other than playing with my son and hanging out with my wife. But man, I love coming on here. I'm excited, and man, we're about to have a sweet 1-year anniversary show. I think we have it set up really nice, and then we got a fire guest after that. We're loaded up again with great guests coming up. I just think we're just rolling, man. And it feels cool because last year at this time we were like, hey,
we just started.
Kyle's setting up his stuff on 2 totes. And
I'm on totes. Our first software crashed 2-3 times. Like, I can't wait to dive in. And I haven't told you guys this, but I have a segment for us where it's going to have flashcards. It's going to have some funny different hot takes that we pull out a flashcard and we all answer. So we're working on a good 1-year anniversary episode for next week, but make sure you subscribe, guys. It's been awesome. I think we've grown a lot for a show that took an entire fall off pretty much, aside from hopping on once in a while. And I think we've grown a lot. You've reached out, but if you could take a second to subscribe on any podcast platform, any YouTube, give us a rating. That it really does help us a lot. We appreciate it. Donovan, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody about episode 42?
Yeah, man. Episode 42 with Coach Mike Bath, legend when it comes to his playing career at Miami University down in Oxford, and has just a wealth of knowledge from his years coaching at Miami and Ashland, and now the offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach at Indiana State. And so we really dive deep into the art of the openers and what does an opening script mean. And so really excited for you to take a listen or take a watch, however you absorb our content for this episode, for episode 42. So it's a great one that we got coming up.
And we got to say, we can't appreciate Fundraising University enough from riding with us, really from almost the beginning. And this show is powered by Fundraising University of Ohio and Storied Rivals. And so Fundraising University of Ohio offers a variety of fundraising efforts that helps football teams run profitable, effective, and fast-paced fundraisers designed to raise the most money in the shortest amount of time to reach their fundraising goals. Fundraising University of Ohio is locally owned, operated, and with their 6-step blitz system will help your team maximize profits. As the current coach himself, Brent Maxwell with Fundraising University will sit down and help you pick, plan, strategize, and execute your fundraiser. If you're interested in us running a fundraiser for you, please contact Brent Maxwell at bmaxwell@fundraising.net or 740-501-8946. All right. And also make sure you hop on to our socials and what we've tweeted out, and we'll put it out there again to enter for a chance to win 2 tickets to the Memorial Golf Tournament sponsored by Fundraising University. I loved it when I got a chance to go there. I think it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity of something cool to do. So if you have a chance, if you're a golf fan, or you're looking for something to do, we're going to put that link out. I think, what did we say? Like, it was like a May 15th or something. We're going to run it out, but hop on there for your chance to win 2 Golden Bear tickets to the Memorial Golf Tournament. If more of you don't sign up, I'm going to take them from myself if I have a chance. I'm going to tell you that right now. All right, let's get into it.
I love it because we're going to throw it back, baby, to one of the best segments we've ever done, the all gas segment. It's been a long time coming. I think we're going to start getting back to that as we approach the new season this year. And Kyle was fortunate enough to be able to go up, support Brendan. And I love seeing those pictures, seeing Kyle be able to go up there and support his quarterback and make sure that he's there for him, coaching him up and watching how other people will engage with them. I think it's awesome that you get to do that, Kyle. So he got to go to the Elite 11 competition and see some elite athletes and elite quarterbacks all weekend.
Yes, I love it. Getting back into the all gas segment as we get into some of these hot takes and then bring it back. But I had the pleasure of being at the Elite 11 regional camp last Sunday. There was over 60 quarterbacks there from over 16 different states. And I tried to go in and coach and enjoy the moment. I was there. We went in obviously trying to come up with using this as a segment to come out with, in our opinion or my opinion as I was there, who are some of the all gas top award winners, right? And it's pretty obvious to start with number one, right? And number one, I had Tavian St. Clair from Bellefontaine, Ohio. He's an OSU commit. He was the one quarterback to win an invite to the finals. I saw him last year when I was there, and it was the first time I ever even saw him, to the point where I asked Brent, I said, "Who's that?" And he told me who it was. The thing is, Sned, I'm sorry, brother. If you're playing him again, I'm sorry. He has gotten way bigger. He has gotten stronger. He's filled out. He carries himself with a moxie of a starting Ohio State quarterback now, and everybody stands around and watches him in awe. The kid can shape his arm almost like a Patrick Mahomes-esque, any angle, anything he needs to do, and it's on target. It's just beautiful to watch. I think we're watching a superstar in the making, to be honest with you.
He's been on the all gas before. This ain't his first one.
Yeah.
He's used to it.
He's blown up a lot, man. My second quarterback, and these really aren't in any order behind Tavian St. Clair, if I'm being honest with you. He was light years above not light years, but pretty clear that he was the dude. Scotty Fox, a West Virginia commit from Mentor, Ohio. Really impressive, really smooth in everything he does. Very consistent when I watched him. The hard part for me this time, 2 years ago, I got to be there as a spectator taking Brendan up. This time I was an assistant coach. I was tied to coaching a station. So I didn't get to watch every single station that went on as I did last time. But Scotty Fox really stood out. Honestly, number 3, probably the biggest surprise of the entire thing was Treston McMillan from Milani, Hawaii. Okay. Mililani, if I'm saying that, okay? Kid shows up. It's 40 degrees in Upper Arlington, Ohio. Everybody's freezing. This kid's in T-shirts and shorts. Doesn't faze him at all. He reminded me a ton of a Jalen Hurts. He looked like a Jalen Hurts type of a body, type of a quarterback. I'm not going to talk about a lot that was said in the inner circle of picking the invites and things, but it would not surprise me if he got an invite to the finals down the road, possibly, based off of where they had him. I know he's undecided right now, but from the sound of it, it sounded a lot like an Arizona or Washington was possibly in his future. Nathan Bernhard, Ashland, Ohio product, baby. I don't know what it is in the water up there, but they put out quarterbacks. And Nathan Bernhard is the next guy in a great line of quarterbacks there under Scott Valentine. Undecided right now, but a 4-star quarterback, 90 composite score. I think it was either today or yesterday. Chip Kelly was there to watch him throw and do some things. It's way too early to say where he's going to go, but he has a ton of big offers. I think he's 6'6", 230 something. Ran like a 4.8 something. He looked like it was like watching Josh Allen out there. Like he just reminded me a lot of Josh Allen. The guy has got a howitzer on his arm as he's just throwing the corners to the back. He's going to be phenomenal. He's a guy to watch moving forward. And then I got to put Brendan Ward in there. Obviously, my guy, my field general, my QB1, my ride or die, right? Committed to Kentucky recently. Went top 5 in the accuracy challenge. Still working himself back from an injury from last year. He won that challenge as an underclassman last year. 2 points away from first. Just super proud of him for probably being out there when maybe was he ready, maybe he wasn't not. I don't know, but just the competitive drive in him wanting to be out there. And to see him battle that and being where he's at recovery-wise and still be able to perform and impress and be up there. And then I got an honorable mention for you, right? I didn't put it on here, but a Jason Wright from Richmond, Virginia. Not a big flashy prospect, but listening to all the other coaches coach stations and watches his accuracy, a really good quarterback that I would put in my honorable mention up there. So I had a great time. I hope to do maybe some more Elite 11s in the future. I know there's a lot of other big-time quarterbacks there too, but to me, that was my Mr. All Gases, and I appreciate you guys listening, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the show with Coach Bath. All right, so let's get into the main topic for today. This is, again, a really cool honor for me. I've had Coach Geiser on the podcast, and here I get the opportunity to have Coach Bath, who was the offensive coordinator for me while I was in college. And tonight, we have Coach Mike Bath joining us from the Indiana State University. He's the offensive coordinator and quarterback coach. Coach, thank you for joining us tonight.
Guys, it's great. It's a great privilege to watch a couple of you guys' podcast. You guys do a great job, and Kyle, it's always great to see your smiling face, my man.
It's great, man. One of my favorite coaches.
Smiling face. That's not a good face to see. Let's not lie to him, Coach Bath.
Gave me the Hammer Award at one point in time and all those good things. And
hasn't given him the Hammer Award in the house, so.
We got 2 kids. We're doing all right. I won a couple Hammer Awards. This is a long introduction because Coach has worn so many hats. He's been a tight end coach, a running back coach, a quarterback coach, offensive coordinator, interim head coach. He's a current offensive coordinator and quarterback coach at Indiana State since 2022. Like I said, he's a graduate and former standout quarterback at Miami University. That's why Donovan today is wearing the Miami gears.
One of the legends.
He set records in both career passing yards and passing touchdowns. Something I heard about while I was an offensive lineman at Ashland University. Everybody talk about the fable of Coach Bath. He actually started his career as a GA at Miami. Then he went to be a full-time assistant there. Went on to become the offensive coordinator for Ashland University in 2009 and 2010, which that's where our paths crossed together. We had a pretty potent offense across that time. Went back to Miami and even served as the interim head coach in 2013, assistant coach at Wyoming University from 2014 to 2018. And then I think if I have this right, the assistant coach at Western Michigan, 2019, 2021, coaching running backs, right, Coach?
Yeah.
So a man that probably really has coached just about everything, it seems like, other than O-line, probably knows it at this point in time, but just so much knowledge. And Coach, talk to us about your journey, how it's been, what you've learned. We can hear the Rugrats in the background, which is okay.
Oh, gosh, I was hoping they're going to be quiet, guys. I apologize.
No. Hey, our head coach, his dog was knocking down the door last week, right? It's a part of the show.
Yeah, I do apologize. First off, I appreciate the introduction, Kyle. I know we kind of joked around about it a little bit, but I had the opportunity to talk to a former player because it's 2009, 2010. You're 21, 22 years old, and just seeing what you've done since has been awesome. And I really do appreciate you guys having me on. And again, my wife is at my daughter's track meet, so I got 3 boys upstairs, one of which is 5. So I apologize if they are making a little bit of noise tonight. But no, I've been so blessed as a coach, as a man here the last 20-some years. I guess probably about 20 years actually this season. I had an opportunity to go work for Terry Hepner for my first first GA job. Getting in, I was coaching high school ball back in Salina, Ohio, where I grew up at for 2 years, and had the opportunity to go back and be a GA and start off on defense. And it was a great experience.
The good side. That's the good side of the ball.
Yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it. I was a D-line GA. All right. I played quarterback and I was a D-line GA.
I love it. I love him. I love him already. Yes, sir. Yeah. That's how you do it. The dark side.
Oh, the dark side. And then I couldn't wait to put that white jersey back on and go to all. But no, every experience has been great. Whether it was working for Shane Montgomery back at Miami University and getting my first full-time job, or heading up to Ashland. Those are 2 years that Coach Wilson and I, our defensive coordinator, that Kyle knows, we talk about all the time how much fun that was. And my wife says the same thing. It was just, we were a young couple. We had 1 kid. We had our daughter while we were there, but it was just a fun time. I really felt like during that time, I learned how to coach ball. And Tim Rose was our defense coordinator, still there. Coach Geiser, Coach Castle, Coach Rise, Coach Wilson. I mean, we had a fun staff, and we had great kids like you guys, Kyle, and your teammates, and it was fun. And but working for Coach Owens, what a wonderful head coach, what a wonderful guy. And I learned so much from him. And I really appreciate it. And it was funny. You fast forward, I left to go to Miami for 3 seasons, and then had the opportunity to go to the University of Wyoming. And I got that job because of Coach Owens. As crazy as it sounds, I saw Coach Owens. I was without a job at the convention, and I saw Coach Owens. Told me, hey, there's something maybe going on with Wyoming. And he said, hey, let me grab Craig Bull. And about an hour later, he called me up and said, hey, I had a great conversation with Coach Bull. He said he's going to call you tonight. I ended up getting hired because Coach Owens stood on the table for me. And so that was great. And I appreciate that so much. And Wyoming was a great chapter. I was 5 years out there. Wonderful people. Learned a lot of ball out there. Learned, again, a lot about running a football program from Craig Bull, which was just a flat-out unbelievable experience. And it was great. We took over a team that was a spread team and turned them into a pro-style team running power every other play. And that was fun. And, then my family and I decided to make a move back to the Midwest and move up to Western Michigan, which had some good experiences, had some tough experiences and everything. And then after a period of time, I made the decision to come on down here. So it's been a wild tour. I gave you a quick synopsis of it, but there were so many great memories from that period of time so far.
It's got to be cool connecting back with Coach Wilson and your family's getting back to be together. And what's funny for me is Coach Wilson lived on the same street as my grandmother in Ashland when he was there. So I would constantly drive by and honk the horn and say what's up. And so that's just such a small world and so funny. But Coach, you've had a great career and you've done so many amazing things. That's why we thought you'd be a fantastic choice for today's topic. Like when I reached out to you, I just knew I had a perfect topic for you. Before we get into that, I know you, but everybody else has to get to know you. Okay. Ryan, let's get this man into your favorite segment.
The best segment of them all, baby, the pick six. Coach, you don't have any clue what we're about to ask you right now. Kyle says he has something that's up his sleeve that's unbelievable for today. And here's the thing. I feel bad for you because when Kyle has something unbelievable, we're all in trouble at that point.
Coach is probably pretty nervous because I was a pretty wiry player back in the day. Thankfully, he dealt with me and he dealt with Taylor and he dealt with all the Ashland boys all tied together. He somehow made it through that chapter.
Coach, was it unique for your O-line for Kyle Stout to be the only 35-year-old O-lineman, or was that like pretty typical?
Well, it was unique. We had another guy. It was relatively unique. Justin McGruder, who I think was 37 at the time, Kyle. He was a couple years older, but it was the first time that actually at the water table there between periods, we had to lengthen out the time and actually had to have stretching periods, but then also apply Jarrett's all between periods. We
were an old group. You had Matt Kinez and Justin McGruder and myself, who were 3 and 4 year starters together. You can kick rocks in spring ball. I was over spring ball by the end.
Oh, yeah, trust me, I can back that up. The other thing was unique. I never knew anything about the D2 rules, about the semesters. And if I'm not mistaken, Justin, especially Justin, because I think you may have done this one semester, maybe even before I got there, but Justin McGruder didn't go through spring ball while I was there because you get 10 semesters to play 4.
He had that injury year, which kind of added a wrench into things.
Yeah, because he was like a part-time student. I never saw him in spring ball. And all of a sudden, here he comes back. It was crazy. It was fun, though. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thoroughly enjoyed that time.
Well, let's get started here because Kyle's going to be over there talking forever. I can see he's smiling more talking to you, Coach Bath, than his wife. I love it.
Dude, she listens to the show now.
The Pick Six segment is powered by Story Rival Sports Media. Championships, friendships, and life lessons are among the most meaningful parts of the athletic competition. We are passionate about preserving them by offering the most unique highlight experience available.
And Story Rivals delivers your team's content with services designed to change the way you experience these unforgettable moments now and for a lifetime. Story Rivals now offers a complete team apparel and player shop customizable to your program. Contact us by email at info@storyrivals.com to schedule an appointment with a member of our team.
Here's the thing, though. Coach Bath, all my questions for Pick Six segments have been coming from my students, so bear with me here. Who is, because I talk to him about this each time we have our podcast, who was growing up for you, who was your number one celebrity crush that you had?
God,
Sandra Bullock.
Question. Oh, my God, Coach, that's mine.
Sandra Bullock. There you go.
Jennifer
Aniston.
God, close second.
Donnie, you're with me on that?
I'm with you on there. There you go.
That's
Dude,
it.
Coach, that was mine. Sandra Bullock, man. I'm with you, man.
I moved on. Once I got married, I moved beyond that. Okay, guys. But
I was going to say, we're all past that stage. We had a stage. That's what I'm saying. We're
Yeah.
past that stage now, but
That was mine too, Coach.
Jennifer Aniston is so hot.
Coach, my first question for you. So I love the NFL draft. It's one of my favorite sporting events of the year. It's like Christmas for you. So it's Christmas Eve right now. So who of the quarterbacks picked tomorrow in round one, so when this comes out, it'll be today, do you think ends up as the best pro football player?
Caleb Williams. I don't see any reaction, so you guys think I'm messed up.
I don't like it. I don't like it. Sorry, Coach.
It's hard to tell because you had the great body 1 year of work, and then the next year, and you just don't know what's going on. But the dude can extend and make some plays, man.
He can extend.
Yeah, but he also goes and cries in mommy's arms up in the stands. I don't like that.
I though. I kind of do.
SOFT.
I took the standpoint I do. It was real emotion. A dude that was obviously battling through a tough time and really cared. That shows to me a guy who's deeply invested in what's going on versus a guy that just threw a fit or walked off and didn't care. I took the opposite side when it came to that.
Yeah, I had no issue with it.
Yeah, I think the Bears are doing a good job right now of building around him. I think it's all about the situation, and I think they're probably best set up for a young quarterback right now.
All right, bonus question then. Who should my Washington Redskins take at number 2 then? You're sitting on the clock.
I'll say Jane Daniels.
That's what I think they're going to take. Okay.
Yeah.
Not very about Drake May, Coach? What's your thoughts on Drake May?
I really liked him 2 years ago. I really did.
Yeah.
I really liked him. I know they had a change of coordinator and everything.
Was losing the coordinator a big change for him?
Yeah, I think that's always big. I think Longo did a really good job there the year before. Or I guess maybe the previous 2 years. I can't remember now, but I like him. Don't get me wrong. I think he's an ultra talented guy, and I think if you let him develop, he's got a chance to be pretty damn good, to be honest with you.
All right, Coach. All right, so for these to know, Coach has 4 kids, right? All right, Coach. Mom's gone, and you're in charge of feeding that tribe of 4.
Yeah.
And you have to cook. You can't order something. What's your go-to? What are you going to do?
I'll probably roast some chicken in the oven, to be honest with you.
Roast some chicken in the oven.
We've got you got to understand my family's from West Central Ohio, and so we get some opportunities to get some beef and some pork and some chickens and stuff like that. So I got some quarter chickens in the freezer. I'll pull them out, defrost them, and we'll have that or some wings, that type of thing. Either in
what
the
kind of seasoning are you throwing on there though?
It's got to be a paprika based, to be honest with you, with some seasonal paprika and some black pepper. And
I thought Coach was going to go to Italian. Like, I'm just going to make a big pot of spaghetti or something.
No, my wife's mother's maiden name was Vomero, so she's got some Italian in her. So that's her specialty. That's not mine. I mean,
all right.
I can't do that. I'm German Catholic. So
I like that. Next question for you. This is a big one for me because I love this dude, and I should have been wearing his sunglasses on here since I got them finally in the mail.
Here we go.
Don't start with me, Kyle. But Dion Prime, successful season or a non-successful season this year? And successful to me is winning a bowl game, or I think he's going to get to the playoffs, in my opinion.
We're talking next season. What marks a successful season?
What do you think he's going to be successful or what? Do you like Dion? Like I love talking Prime to people because I want to know your version from being in college.
I think this is the first thing. I think he's great for college football. I really do believe that he's great for it because when you have Colorado and Colorado State on ABC on Saturday night in September, and that place was rocking. I think the attention that he's bringing to college football is outstanding, and there's more than one way to skin a cat. So I would never be judgmental. I've got a lot of respect for the fact that he's doing it his way and feels strongly and convicted about it. The level of success, I'll probably tell you this, that I probably don't know enough about what he's doing. I know that sure, his son's a heck of a player and is a great player. I know the Hunter kid's a great player, and I know they had some growing pains last season as the season progressed. But I'll say this, I think he's great for college football. It's Boulder, Colorado. Living out in Wyoming isn't really a football town. It's not. And for them to reinvigorate that community, reinvigorate that area, but then also to bring a national television audience for a game against Colorado State, I think is really impressive. And so I think he'll continue to build that thing because of the fact that people respect him and kids still know who he is. It's prime time. And so I think he'll do well. I don't know what that means this year, but I think over the long haul, I think he'll do well out there.
He's going to sneak into this 12-team playoff.
You're out of your mind.
We'll see.
I'm a big Prime supporter. You'll see me on the sidelines all year this year wearing my Prime golds, baby. I love them.
Coach, my second question is towards Miami. What's your favorite football memory from your time there, whether it was as a player or as a coach? What's your favorite football memory from Miami?
Yeah, I would say it's probably 2000, the first game of the season. We beat Vanderbilt on a last-second touchdown. And it was probably a little personal for me because of the fact that going back to my senior year in high school, the fall of 1990, got offered by Vanderbilt, went on an official visit to Vanderbilt, committed to Vanderbilt. I committed to the head coach at the time in his office. Went home after the visit, and Thursday night he calls me up, not him, but the coach that was recruiting me, and said that, hey, we're going to hold on taking your commitment. We've got a young man by the name of Adam Bledsoe coming in on a visit this weekend. And Adam Bledsoe was the younger brother of Drew Bledsoe. And so I told him not to call me. I was done with him. When you go through the weekend on Sunday night, the head coach called me up and said, hey, Mike, we're excited to have you. I told him I wasn't going to go to Vanderbilt. The next day they were at the school. I told him, I said, no, I committed and you guys broke that commitment, so I'm not interested. And so fast forward 5 years, opening game my fifth year in college, we played Vanderbilt and probably had maybe my best overall game in my career that game. And we won it on the last second touchdown. So
That's so awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's a cool story. I've never heard.
Made
That's
me
awesome.
happy. I love
know.
It's
Yeah.
one of the tomahawks hanging in the team meeting room.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Coach Stout.
God. All right, here we go. Coach, I'm going to take you back to 1998. This is the final question, right? I saved this one for the end, right?
Okay.
Apparently, it was 9-0 Miami versus 9-0 Marshall.
Absolutely.
You with me? All right.
Yeah.
It says the Red Hawks are down in the red zone, and a fan wants to know, why didn't you throw the ball to Jeffrey Bowman wide open in the flats?
I think that Jeffrey's mom, misinterpreted the read that I had on that particular play, and that she didn't know my eyes were to the opposite side. He was working in the boundary, and I took the chance on the corner route. And so, so his mom was wrong.
To this day, apparently Jeff said it was first start at fullback, super excited. I asked him, here's the real question. At fullback, did you put the washboard or the plate on, the neck roll? He said no. I'm like, then you're not a real fullback. That's why he probably didn't throw you the ball. But he said he says in his perspective, he was wide open in the flat. And he was the primary read, and you said heck no and threw it up to a receiver.
I think he took too many hits on the head that game for Travis Prentice.
He did say he had to take too many power kickouts in that time.
That was Jibo it's funny because so Jeffrey Bowman, I know his son is one of the top recruits in the state and everything, and Jeffrey Bowman, that's why I love it, because Jeffrey Bowman's one of the best teammates I had in my career. He is a wonderful guy, a selfless guy. He was a heck of a tailback. But the problem is another guy in his class was Travis Prentice, who when he graduated was the all-time leading scorer in NCAA history. And then Ron Dane, I think, broke it the next year. And that was hard. But so Jeffrey is a selfless guy. We had some injuries at fullback that season. Jeffrey moves to fullback and does a great job. And he's just one of my all-time favorite teammates. A very phenomenal guy, man.
I love Jeff. And he said the same thing about you. He talked about you being the ultimate competitor and everything. I said, heck yeah, man. I said, he's my offensive coordinator in college. I saw that fire in him. And Jeff's a great guy. I saw Preston's Sunday, and something big's going to happen for Preston soon. I just know it. There's a lot of momentum behind him.
That's great to hear, man. I mean, it could have happened to a better guy, better family.
Yeah.
Preston's an elite athlete in this area.
Good, man.
It's awesome.
I love it. Let's get into it, man.
All right.
The bell of the ball's here. Let's get into the main topic. So I've said it on here before, like my off season has been so jam-packed with more situational football than X's and O's, I think. In years past, it's been diving into some schemes. This year's been more just diving into more situational stuff. And tonight's episode, The Art of Openers, is all about how you go about developing your opening script and starting a game from an offensive perspective. And Coach is a great person to come on here and talk about it. He's had a lot of experience doing that. I can even remember a time there was a game where Coach used to script 12 or 15. I don't know what he does anymore. And I remember we scored one time within the first 6, and he just rolled it back again, right? So I'm excited to pick Coach's brain on this. And as we get started, you think about coaches, and this whole idea came from myself reading Developing an Offensive Game Plan by Brian Billick, right? And it is a fantastic book. Coach and I were talking last night about it. I wish I read it sooner as a coach. You might think everything, it just solidifies some points, or at least gets you to think about rethinking some of the things you do. And I came across this quote from Bill Walsh that said, "The establishing of your openers is the single most valuable thing that a coach can do as far as the game plan is concerned." As a young coach, I've always said, or I've always thought of third down and red zone, right? Like, so much of my focus has been on that. And then you dive into looking at the math of a game. And yes, those situations are important. They can make or break things, right? But you're talking about less than 20% of the game is even a third down or something, but so much attention goes to it. And so, Coach, as we get started, when you think of teaching, you think of starting with the goal in mind, right? And as we get started on this, the art of openers, what are the goals of your opening game plan? Or for you specifically, what are you trying to accomplish with your opening script?
I look at it from a couple different perspectives, and this is every single week. And you brought it up. Brian Billick's book is outstanding. And Kyle, I got to reread it because I told you last night I got it 18, 19 years ago. I read it probably again right before I got to Ashland as I was making that transition. And there's so many great nuggets in that. But I think that for me, where it starts off at is that I want to establish confidence in our offense. Okay. And so it's outside the X's and O's, outside of everything else, regardless of how that first series ends. I want them to have confidence. Okay. We can play in this game. Okay. We can play with our teammate. We can play with our opponents. Okay. We move the ball. All right. And maybe it didn't end up the way we wanted to. Maybe we got put off the field on the first third down, maybe even the second third down. But I think that establishing confidence with the offense that we have a successful plan, the plan's going to be executed properly, moving throughout the game. That to me is the biggest thing. And the second thing that, from a goal perspective is I want to get the quarterback started off. Okay. I want him to get comfortable. And I look back a couple different things throughout my career, and that getting comfortable may be completing his first pass. Okay. That comfortable, maybe, I don't know, having success on a third down, whatever that may be. But even I look back at house, for example. I remember in 2010, we started off 1-3, and Taylor was not playing well. Okay. But the thing is that Coach Castle and I, who was our running backs, tight ends coach at the time there in Ashland, we sat down on Sunday after our 1-3 start, and we're like, okay, what do we do differently? And we started rewatching some games, and Taylor started maybe playing a little bit better in a game after he took a hit. Okay. It was something as simple as that. And Kyle can attest that Taylor's an energy guy. He's a pump up. He thrives on getting contact or running through a guy. That's who he was. So after that, I started for the next 7 games of the season implementing a quarterback run in the first 3 to 4 plays, trying to find a way to get him involved and get him hit. Okay, just get the nervous energy out of him. We ended up averaging 44 points a game the last 7 games, and Taylor Houseford, I think, threw for 24 touchdowns and 3 picks the last 7 games of the season. There's certain things that getting a quarterback comfortable, which I think is imperative. And I think that the goal I want to get out of it as well as this is I want to make sure that I have an idea once we're cycling through these openers initially that I feel comfortable with what I'm seeing from the defense. Okay, are they fitting the way I expected them to fit that they shown on film? Maybe it was something that they played a comparable team earlier in the season. I want to see how the defense is reacting to us. I want to see how they're fitting. I want to see if the coverages match up to what we studied. So those type of answers, that's the goal that I look at with our openers. I want to try to get those 3 things accomplished.
Coach, when you talk about your getting your quarterback comfortable, I initially this question for key players, but it really is your quarterback. And I'm sure Coach Stout has the same thoughts with our quarterback as a younger high school player, but still your quarterbacks they're still college kids, right? Yeah. Do you ever have to, worry about how you communicate your goals, your openers for your script in a way that won't ever overwhelm your quarterback? Do you have to tailor it that way, or is it never really an issue because you've been doing this for so long to do it, or it's just nature of the game, like you guys are on the same page?
Yeah, I approach it like this, that I never put the emphasis on it that I want to get off to a good start. Okay. And our guys, when we get through the season, and Kyle, I did this when you were a player there, that on the Friday night meetings, I would show the guys my opening script. And I want them to know what we're looking for and what we want to get accomplished, because I don't want
practiced it too on Thursdays or the walkthrough practice or whenever we were there. I remember we would do it.
We did it, and we tried to make sure we practice it just so that we got off to that fast start. And again, like I said, a fast start or a successful start, a fast start, maybe we don't score that first drive. Okay, maybe we get a first down and we're moving the ball, we're running. Maybe we just miss a pass, whatever that may be, and that's going to happen. But getting back to your question, the one thing I always talk to our quarterbacks about is, hey guys, we're not going to complete every pass. Okay, we're going to take a shot. Whatever that situation may be, we're not going to live and die on that one play. Okay, there's a series of plays, 70, 75, 80 plays in a game that are going to take place. We're not going to live and die on one. So I try not to put the overload of stress on those guys in regards to this play is so important and it's play 6 of a game. But every play is important, but we're not going to live and die by it.
Managing expectations.
Absolutely.
Donovan, you talked about the big thing your coach said was like, never get too high, never get too low. And that's a big thing about just keep chipping away. Don't let your emotions swing too high. That's one of the coolest things about Brian Billick's book, was talking about learning expectations by down and distance. Sometimes we'll script and do third down situations against our defense. This 3rd and long, and they get so upset. The statistics show if you can win 25% of it, that's winning as an offense. And that's been a big thing for me as we get into that this next year, is just trying to manage expectations a little bit better. Of like, yes, we want to win every one, but we don't have to scream and think we suck because we didn't win every single 3rd and long situation that we scripted against the defense, right?
No,
that's a good point.
No, it's so you're so right, because I can take myself back to the first day I called a play in a practice off of script. Okay, it's different than scripting it up and for the first 3 practices or 4 practices of spring ball. But I remember at Ashland, the first day I called a scrimmage, I'm up in the press box at the stadium, and I'm sitting there, I'm like livid. Okay, we didn't get 2 third downs in a row. Okay, and I'm pissed, and I'm like, wait a second, okay. It's spring, Mike. Okay, we're going to make these mistakes, but and also just understand. Okay, Mike, if I can't freak out like this. You know, I mean, and that day right there helped me out a little bit, because even going back to some of the quotes, like you said there from Billick's book, it is managing expectations. But also as a coach, as a play caller, you got to understand that as well.
Coach, Kyle, shut up for once. No, I'm kidding. Kyle does a great job with all his questions. He does a lot for us. I'm kidding, Kyle. I love you. But here's our next thing. Look, Coach, how many plays do you typically script for your opener? Like how many, like your opening drives, like how many plays are you scripting? And I hear a lot of guys, I'm going to script them first 10 plays. Are you going to veer away from those 10 plays, or are you definitely running those first 10 plays that you script if it is 10 plays?
Yeah, I typically I know what I do, but I went back and checked some of my old scripts just to confirm, okay? Because I know what I like, but I usually go between 12 and 16, and because
you're not going off of those though. Like you're going to run that 12 to 16 you scripted, or will you sometimes maybe call something different? Or are you running those for sure?
Yeah, I would say this: probably 85% of the time in normal down open field situations, I stick to it. The situations where I've won it is because again, the field is a play caller. And if you hit something, if we hit a shot, okay, and I know through game planning that tempo has hurt that team, I want to put a dagger in them right now. Okay, on this drive, let's go score. I may call a tempo play that next play. Okay. But then as soon as I get that, then okay, let's get back on the script. But so that, the 14 to 16, the 14 to 18, whatever those numbers are, if I feel that, okay, we got them, I like this momentum we're on right now, let's hit them with a tempo play to go get a nice 4 to 6 yard gain on top of that explosive, or maybe shoot one through, I'll do that. But then I try to get back onto it as long as we're in that normal down or the open field situations. We get in the red zone, then I'm gonna go to my red zone plan.
Coach, so I got a question, and this has been, I've changed over the years, and this is an emphasis for me of trying to maybe get better at this year. My script early on started as a first 12, and then it quickly turned into a early emphasis what we want to do, because I'm like you. I would stick to it, and I would jump around a little bit. do you have a formula that you use in that, say, 12 to 16? Is it normal down and distance, first 2 plays, and then you maybe script your best third down? Or do you have a set way of formulating how you're going to develop those into your 16?
It's a loaded question. I'm going to answer it with a couple different components here, okay, Kyle. The first thing I'll grab is with the third downs. I always, on my game plan, I always mark out, okay, 1 and 2 on all the situations, okay? And just because I like that, because I want to know exactly, I like the call. I want to call it. I'm not going to call something that maybe was my fourth call the first time. So I always know which third down call I was going to call the first one. So I always go 1 and 2, just so that first drive that I'm just getting in the flow and I feel like I can look down, okay, there's 1, put a check mark by it, call it. If we get in the same situation, I'll go right down to number 2. And as soon as I call it, I can look at the remaining options here and I'll dot a next one. Okay, just as a suggestion for me. But the first 2 are always, this is what I'm going to go to because we game plan it. I really like these calls. I'm going to go with it. Now, as we get into it from an opener's perspective, now it's probably changed a lot, Kyle, in the sense that from 2009, 2010, when you were there at Ashland, to now, because of just who we are as an offense. And so back then, I tried to make sure that, okay, in those 12, 16, 14 to 16 plays that I was probably about a little 60-40 run to pass. Okay. And that pass, it was usually a mix of, I want to make sure we haven't moved the pocket. I want to make sure that we're taking a play action shot. I want to make sure that we are making sure that we're sneaking in a hawk screen or eagle screen like we used to run back in the day. I wanted to make sure that there was a good mix. Now with who we are, we're a much more RPO team. And I'll be honest with you, I'm a little bit more 70-30 run with RPO emphasis on that because I know that the passes will come off that. And still within that 30%, though, of the dialed passes, I'm going to take a shot somewhere in that 14 to 16. I know that. And that's something that, because I want to see if we can create an explosive. I want to give the quarterback confidence that we're going to take a shot. But then also, I think the other thing that plays into it, and even going back to the first question, I want the offense to know that I have confidence in them. And whoever our guy is that's going to run that post, I want him to know that you go beat this guy. We're going to take a shot up over the top. And I think that, as we all know, young men, if you give them, if they see that you have confidence in them, they're going to rise to the occasion. That's what I always try to do.
So when you're making that 14 to 16, and I think all of us, the coordinators, we have that third down box based on where it is. Will you script that, or is it just in your mind? If I'm third down, I jump down to my third down section.
Yeah. I guess I don't script in that 14 to 16. Those are, for me, those are all first and second down calls.
All right. So your opening script is your normal down and distance, maybe explosive plays, maybe what you're trying to do, rip a shot. And then if you get in this situation, then you jump to your game plan down and distance when you need it. And then maybe back to the script is what you're saying.
Absolutely. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Cool.
Yeah. Coach, when you script openers, but really this is a general question. When you look at big games or rivalry games, or hell, even like in the moment where a game's tight, or you can just feel the energy at the beginning of the game for openers, do you take the mindset more of like, all right, like we're gonna go out guns blazing here, like we're gonna throw in what we've been working on here in the corner, we're gonna throw in some things we do well, but we're gonna go out guns blazing, or take the mindset of like, nope, we're really good at X, or we're really good at Y, and that's what we're going to do. We're not going to change who we are because of the moment. You see the kind of two sides I'm looking at?
No, I absolutely understand what you're asking. And I think that, first off, I'll say this, is that I think that as a coordinator, you have to make sure the players understand your identity as an offense, or what your vision for your identity is. And I think that plays into it. For example, like right now, our identity is we're going to run the football at will anytime that we want to while hunting shots. Okay, that's our identity. And so I want to make sure that they know that they have that edge, and I would believe that our openers are reflective of that. And so within that, I'm going to have a hunt RPO where we're going to read the third level player here, and we're going to find that shot, the best RPO we have that week. We're going to call that in our openers. We're going to, and it's probably going to be on the first drive. Okay, but then also we're going to take a shot downfield. Okay, but the other thing is that we're going to run the football at will whenever we want to with an edge. And I think our guys would, if I came out and we started dropping back 6 of the 14 plays, I think they would probably maybe even question the confidence that I have in them that we can go and run the football against that opponent and hunt those shots. So I think that identifying communicating what your identity is to your team and your offense. And that's something that I think hopefully, Kyle, I did that back with you guys, that our identity was we're going to pound the rock, right? You got a sledgehammer probably somewhere in the attic that you won that one time, right? And but that's something that you have to identify, and you have to make sure it's clear communicated players. And I think your openers need to be reflected that, regardless of the game or not, big game or not. And whether we were playing Grand Valley when I was at Ashland or we were playing Purdue 2 years ago, I would hope that those openers reflected what our identity is.
Coach, I think we got a great idea what your goal is, how you structure it. Let's rewind back a little bit. Is there anything you do special from an opponent scout standpoint when it comes to developing that opening script?
Yeah, I think from special, it's something that is probably a little bit just compared to the guys I've been with that have been the coordinators when I was an assistant coach. It's different than what they've done. And every guy is different. I always like on Sunday, locking myself in my office, and I like to watch the last 3 to 4 games in the first half. And with a normal down, first and second down emphasis, because I want to get a feel for that coordinator. And usually, I think as you're going through that, once you get through those 3 games, you have some ideas of where you're going, okay, with your normal down offense. But then as you're watching it, you get a personality kind of idea of who that defensive coordinator is, especially early, okay? Because there's been times over the years where a coordinator is going to be just very vanilla, but he may show a little bit more pressure as he gets going in the game. And I think you have to identify that. But once I get done with those 3 to 4 games, evaluating, watching, and studying and everything, I like to go right into the down and distances first. I like to watch all the P and 10s and get into the first and 10s. And then going into the second and 10 plus, second and 7 and 9, 4 to 6, 1 to 3, or 2 to 3, and get into the 0 to 1.
P and 10, huh, Donnie?
We love P and 10 on this show, baby.
I love P and 10, Donnie, huh?
Am I missing something?
Coach, I try not to laugh.
Hey, it's an inside thing, but we love P and 10 on this show, brother.
P and 10, all right.
Donovan just discovered what P and 10 meant about a month or 2 ago.
Okay.
Even though it was on the scouting report for the entire year. So that's why anybody that says P and 10, it's hard to keep a straight face around here.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great.
We got to get Donnie a shirt that says P and 10 on it, dude.
Done. Wife will make it. Done.
You already know it. He has to wear it. Coach Bath, real quick, obviously being on the offensive side, I love defense. I played defense in college at ODU, Ohio Dominican, baby. The Panthers always beat up on the Eagles. But at the end of the day,
not while we were there. Not while we were there. No, they did.
Not when we were there.
Yeah, we always beat up on the Eagles. We kind of make fun of those people that are over in the purple.
All right.
But at the end of the day, for you, when you look at the defensive side of things, because I'm trying to get a better understanding of how offensive coordinators are breaking my defense down, and what are the steps that you go other than just watching the down and distance first and second down, but what positions are you watching up front first, linebackers, then DBs? Are you watching that as a whole? Like, how are you breaking that down and then relating it back to your?
I think for me, one of the things that I really try, and now take into context, what type of offense we are. We're an RPO-based team, and we're going to run the football. So I try to find out, okay, where's that extra fit coming from? And so for me, I break out my notebook with 12 boxes on one sheet, and I sit there and I try to script that out and try to draw it and try to put into context back alignments. That's one of my favorite. I love studying fits. I love it. And where can I get the most advantageous fit for us based upon back alignment? It could be tight end. It could be a tight end in a backfield alignment out of 11 personnel. Do we get it out of 12? Do we get it out of bounds? Okay, trying to find, what helps us out from a fit perspective. And that's something that I love studying. Okay, and then probably the next thing is I love finding indicators. I love finding those things. And that's something that I think us as offensive coaches, whether it's a boundary side corner alignment or it's a field side defensive end, is he in a 7 or a 6? Okay, does that kind of coincide with the G? Okay, or are they playing a 3-6? What gives us information? Okay, and I think that all those things combined are the art of getting to that point. When you finally put together the plan, you present it to your guys on Tuesday. That's the freaking fun. I love that. I love sitting there on Sunday with a coffee at 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, and knowing that I'm not going to be able to sleep after drinking it, but I love sitting there just rewinding, going to the next play, going back to check 6 plays before to see if that lineup, if my drawing was right based upon that alignment that we saw in that fit we saw based upon the back to the field or in the pistol. I love those things. That's where I always go to is who's the additional fitter and what other information I can get out of that.
I like that. No, I like that a lot. And when you're looking at for a defense, right, how are you I guess where I'm also trying to get better at is our practice planning, right? Kyle and I have talked a little bit about that, right? Like trying to plan our practice according to what we're going to accomplish that week as an offense or a defense. And for you, how do you script what you want to see from the defense? Like, how do you get to that point where you're like, okay, I'm scripting these plays? Are you locking in on their 4 best blitzes? How many blitzes are you looking at through a week? You know what I mean? Those kind of things.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Yeah, for us, take you through a week and everything. The first thing on Saturday, or excuse me, on Sunday, I'm sorry. The first thing after we put the previous opponent to bed, the first thing that happens for us is our graduate assistant and our O-line coach. He gets with him and our running backs coach, those 3 guys. And they start their first study that I want done every single week is I want to know blitz tendencies. Okay, I want to know that. And because I think that gives, okay, so they go and do that. We get back together as an offense. They'll text me or come on down to my office, say, hey, we're done. We'll get together and we'll talk through their blitzes. We'll talk through their blitz tendencies, okay? Because I want our line coach and also our receivers coach takes the lead on third downs, okay? Because that's his independent study throughout the week. I want him to have an idea, okay, this is what we were thinking in protection this week based upon those pressures that we saw, okay? So he can have kind of an idea. If we need to be a 7-man check protection, I want him to have an idea of that so he can build a third down menu off of that, okay? Now, for me personally, okay, I need to know those blitzes, okay? I need to understand what the quarterbacks are going to be contending with, what the movements that the offensive line is going to be contending with. And I think that's one of the key early components that you have to put together. Now, when it comes to inside run and team and everything throughout the week and what looks we get in the normal down situations, we have to play the odds. We have to play the percentages of what a defense is showing on film. And I think as you get going in the week, if there's something, because I try to watch just like pretty much every other coordinator. By Wednesday night, I try to watch every game that the team has played. Now, if they're playing a triple option team or an air raid team, that doesn't really give us a lot of value. I'll watch 2 minutes in those games. But when it comes to normal down, if there's something really unique that kind of stands out, a unique pressure or something like that, I'll pull that and we'll walk through it on Thursday if I feel like it's going to add value. But we try to play the tendencies, and then we'll try to walk through any of the nuances that may show up or something that may be a one-timer. If it's something really unique, maybe we'll walk through that on Thursday and just say, okay, kind of preface it by, hey, we're going to show you this one look today that they showed 5 games ago, okay, that I feel like is necessary because it is such a unique look, okay, just so you're prepared for it if it does happen. But that's how I kind of structure. I make sure we try to get the tendencies first and build off from there with the base down and distance pressures and just normal down looks.
I'm with you on the blitz, coach. I don't know if it's the O-lineman in me or my history of that, but I think the beginning of when I watch a team, we quick watch it, write down some favorites, some ideas we're starting to generate. And then when I start to get in the nitty gritty, it's formations, it's alignments, and it's blitz. And I'm hoping that I track all the blitzes, where it's coming from, clip numbers, blitz cut up, and it's just making sure that we're developing a great game plan on Sunday night on that aspect, because then we have a great chance of success. And I'm with you. I love tracking that. I love making cut ups. I love walking through it. Like, we go through it so much.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That's the fun part of coaching, right? Like figuring out the other guy. That's the chess moves.
Good.
And here's the other piece, though. Kyle, I'm so glad he's evolved, because when we were at Pick North together, he used to always line up the play cards where the defense was down 1 man or we were in a bad spot and the offense always won. It was just like, dude, you're
that's not
any
true
better,
at all.
Kyle.
You can ask Donovan. I put our kids through the ringer. Some days I'll even tell them, like, it's coming at you today, boys, every card. So don't even start.
That's not true, because look, we were doing a 7-on-7 last year. I asked Kyle, are we going to do any motions? Are we going to do any shifts or anything? Nah, man, we're not there yet.
I did not say that.
Guess what? First freaking play against my defense. Here goes a motion, and then another one back across. Okay, Kyle.
I told you walking into that 7-on-7, we would line up in these different personnels. I told you we were going to give you 12 personnel. I told you we were going to shift in motion out of it. I told you.
Not the night before. You heard him walking in as we just arrived.
We've all done that. You can attest. Brad Wilson's our defensive coordinator. We've been best friends for 15 years, and he'll call me out now if I sneak one in. Oh, you better believe after that practice, or I hear something bad theory blank across the field. So, yeah, I understand that. I understand it.
Ryan, wait till this year. Just wait. Just wait.
Hey, look,
I'm not even going to tell you. It is April 24th. I'm saying on this show right now, I am not going to tell Ryan the twist that we're going to do on that scrimmage. And then we're going to podcast after like we did last year. And I'm telling you right now, just wait. I'm telling you. All right. Just wait. Coach, I got to leave here on our last question because Coach is still in spring ball, believe it or not. So we got to respect this man's time.
Oh, it's good.
But I'm in a point where I have a great quarterback, but I'm in a point now where I'm getting ready to develop the next one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And with your background there, how do you go about developing young quarterbacks when they got to be ready to play next year? What do you do that previous year to get them to that point?
I think that probably the biggest thing is that you have to communicate probably the urgency of it, because if something were to happen, then he's going to be pressed into service this year. But I think that, from the mental reps are so huge, and I can't preach that enough. And just because he's going to be very fortunate, he's going to be playing behind the player that you have. I can't say anything else. I think it's an NCAA violation, but I know what type of player you have there. He has the opportunity to be around that kid for 1 year, to watch him work on a daily basis. Because everything I read about him is just phenomenal. But he's got to get the mental reps, but he's got to watch him, and he's got to observe him, and he's got to learn from him. And that's probably the biggest message for any young quarterback is, even though you may be the backup, you're still one play away from playing. And if you don't take advantage of being behind a really dang good quarterback, you're missing the opportunities. You're missing the boat. And when I go back, I remember Taylor House from 2009. He's back behind Billy, who was an All-American. Billy Cundiff was still to this day has one of the best arms I've ever seen in my life, and knew everything. And the one thing I did believe that Taylor did was he paid attention. He took the mental reps. He watched Billy. He observed Billy. He listened to Billy in the meetings and the way he communicated to the offense. And I think that's such an imperative thing. And I think continuing just to making sure that young man knows that you're a play away and your time's going to come. But if you waste this period of time, you're not going to be prepared next year. And that's one thing I've always communicated to young quarterbacks throughout my years, whether I was coaching the quarterbacks or I was even coaching another position, because as you guys know, I'm sure that you have a guy on your team that was playing quarterback. Even if you're not coaching quarterbacks, they know that you play quarterback. They're still going to come up to you to ask you things. And I remember having that conversation with the young man that we had up at Western Michigan. And I told him, I said, John Wozniak is a great example for you to follow and watch him and observe him. And that's what he did, and set up for pretty good success in 2024.
I love it, man. I got too many notes after today. I got too much. I'm running out of papers. Right.
You're the first guest that I wrote some notes down. Usually I try to just put them in this little chat box over here and type them in, but I appreciate that stuff because my offensive coordinator, man, me and him have rocked together now for 2 years. He's just done an amazing job for us, and he loves getting the notes. So I appreciate all the nuggets you gave today, man. You're an elite offensive coordinator, elite coach.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you very much. You guys are great.
Sir. Look, hey, guys, we're going to wrap this up, right, Kyle? That's what you're ready to do. That was the last question,
sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Hey, everyone, we appreciate you so much. Coach Bath, you're the man. We appreciate you. Thank you for coming on. You got spring ball still rolling, man. You're
still in it.
You must really love Kyle. But before we wrap this up, give me the funniest story you got on Kyle Stout real quick. You knew it was coming, Kyle.
Oh, my gosh. Well, this is good. Yeah, Kyle, I remember my first spring, all right, and Kyle Stout, like I got on, Kyle, you may remember this, I got on your rear end one day in the spring because you're an older guy, right? And he's an older guy. Here comes this new offensive coordinator in, and I can remember who you got. Joey Lynch was the coordinator before me, right?
Correct.
Yeah, and Kyle, and I love Kyle. He was an older guy, he was an Ashland guy, and Kyle gave me that. I would say another word right now, but I know we're on a podcast. But he gave me a look, like, all right, whatever, man, and just gave that little smile you got. And I looked at him, I was like, "What is that?" And he just looks at me and said, "What are you talking about, Coach?" I was like, "Yeah, that look." And I just started ripping his rear end for no reason. And Coach Geiser just kind of looks at me and is like, "You okay, Mike?" I go, he looked at me like, and I snapped. I was a young coach, but it wasn't, I don't know if that's that funny, but I just remember that one time, and I was like, "Geez, I'm crying. I shouldn't have done that." But Kyle gave me that look, and I was like, "All right, man, come on, man. We're not going to start here, dude."
Man, I had a lot of maturing to grow up through my time, and I appreciate the coaches I had all throughout my college career. And it's just interesting how much you grow up being a player. I'll never forget one of the things. I used to be a complainer when I was younger, and it stuck to me the one time when Coach Owens talked about, like, he handed us the one of the winner's manual type books or that we were reading, and it was about, who are you to complain? And somebody out there always has a bigger situation or more going on than you. And at the same point in time, my grandmother was fighting terminal cancer.
Yeah.
And so for me, I just remember looking back at my maturity. That was a big turning point for me of understanding what maybe you're upset about compared to the grand life schemes. And Coach, I appreciate Coach Owens and Coach Geiser and yourself. And I don't think I would be who I am or where I am today without you. And I just appreciate you coming on. And if you ever need anything, Columbus, I got you. And hopefully maybe one of these days I'll make it over to hang out with you and Coach Wilson.
That sounds great, man. Kyle, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate everything you did way back when. You did accept me after that one night, that one day. But no, it was great joy, and you're right. That's a great place to grow up at there at Ashland University with those guys. Like we said before, Coach Owens is phenomenal. Coach Geiser is a great guy. But no, it's great to see you guys. It's great to see you just being successful, man. It's awesome. It's great to see you. That's why you get
awesome.
into it. Right?
I love hearing it. But look,
great, man.
Make sure all of our people subscribe, follow, do everything you can to keep building our show, man. We've had amazing support throughout this quarter now of our, what will we call this? Now we're about to be on a year. People don't even, it's crazy.
Next episode's the 1 year anniversary.
Next episode's the one. And we definitely didn't even expect as much love as we do get. And I love it because there's so many times I'm just, one of my old players from 3 years ago, right, calls me and brought up, he was like, "Man, I love listening to 614 headsets. He works landscape now. And he's he runs his own company. He's like, man, I just turn it on in the truck as I'm driving. It's always good stuff." So we appreciate followers like that. And I love it. My previous players listening to this stuff.
And don't forget, Ed, we got Coach Johnson all the way out in North Carolina, head coach there. Yeah. He's coming on to do a virtual clinic tomorrow night. And he told me the same thing. Hey, I listen to you guys every day on the way to work or on the way to the gym, all the way in North Carolina. I'm like, appreciate you. I don't know why you listen to Sayers. He sucks, but I appreciate it.
I'm the face of it. They like to look at me, not hear me. But not here. Hey, make sure you guys contact Fundraising University. Get a hold of them. Brent just finished up my fundraiser this past week. We raised nearly up to $5,000, which is great for our kids. That gets every one of our kids their 7-on-7 gear and a little piece of paying for their videographer that we do, which is awesome for our kids. And then speaking of videographers and then apparel and those things, make sure you contact Story Rivals and get a hold of our sponsors, man. We can appreciate them more, man. They've done a lot for us, and their support is amazing. And we want all of our listeners to dive in there and get a hold of those guys and help their business. But other than that, Coach Bath, you're the man. We appreciate you. Thank you, everybody.
Hey, thank you guys. Appreciate it.